Grand Rising, love and immunity, beloveds. Understanding the spiritual forces. As stated in Ephesians 6:12, of evil. A lot of us don't understand that inside of this kingdom, we are living inside of eternity, immortality, and mortality. All the elements, the atom, the molecule, all of the mind, the creator. And then we're living inside of the manifestation, which is the body. Okay? This is understanding the matrix within internal earth. So as we live inside of this kingdom as one, trillions and trillions and trillions of life's existence within this one body, not individualized, because spirit is just like existence itself. It cannot individualize itself from its own, being its own creator and its own creation, which is its own body, its own mind, and its own soul. Okay? The kingdom of heaven lives within us. Okay? Because the kingdom of heaven lives within us, we have to understand the spiritual forces that live in this world. Okay? In this world, this is a conformed mind. In Romans 12:2, it told us, do not be conformed by this world. Okay? And before I start this disclaimer, I want to just say hi. I'm back on here today solely based on being woken up out of my sleep this morning, seeing someone that I love under spiritual attack. And this was the download that came to me. I've been busy for the last week or so, taking care of business, so I haven't been able to come on here. But when that download comes, when those messages come, as a messenger, as a receiver of messages, I have been given the power and the glory and the victory to delay the message to my people. As I stated, this is a private and confidential existence. I do not give anyone access to come into my existence unless it is life, unless your intentions are for the very sole reason of life and all of its abundance, for all as one equally yoked substance for the body of life's existence. I hope all of you guys have been well. I hope all of you guys have been abundant. And here we go with the message. So I woke up this morning understanding more about the spiritual forces. As a kid, I had eyes to see these forces. As I got older, they didn't disappear. What happened is that my conformed mind was the power that was conforming my mind. Okay, that was the spiritual force that was using my mind. Okay, we have to understand that our immortality, which is this kingdom, remember, this is our transformed and renewed mind. When we eat of this knowledge, which is the knowledge of good and evil, everything she believes in is in two. It's duality. It's forces. Okay, if I believe that I'm not existence, I'm not life, and I'm not the body of life's existence, then I fall into prey. I fall prey. I fall victim. I fall into the world. Okay, I fall into the mind of conformity. So my immortality is now trapped inside of this mind. Okay, we're all living inside of this right here, beloveds. Every last one of us is living inside of. Every last one of us is living inside of the bloodline right now. Okay, all of us is living inside of this bloodline right now. Every last one of us. That is what gives us life. It is the blood. It is the molecule. That's what we want to see it as. The molecule, it is what is our immortality. Okay, and that immortality is eternal, and it's also immortal. Okay, and mortal, which makes us a living kingdom. The kingdom of heaven lives within. Okay, and because of this, when we take that mind, which is that immortality, our immortal mind, and we conform it down into we can call it the human mind. Okay, inside of us, the mind is the kingdom of heaven within. It's just consciousness. It is already under the directive of eternity, which is the spirit. Okay, and its only job is to give what? Life's existence to this body. The Trinity of life. Under those 3 commandments, or under those 3 laws, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Now, I'm not saying that they are not going to come at you. Like as a kid, I had eyes to see these spiritual forces of evil. Why? Because it's like saying God is in the world, but God is not of the world. Our eternity, our immortality, and our mortality is not of this world. Okay? It's the kingdom of heaven within us. This kingdom cannot be touched. Your eternal, immortal kingdom cannot be touched unless it is conformed. Okay? If it is conformed, then it is open to be victimized. It's open to be preyed on. It's open to be taken advantage of at every present moment. Why? Because the mind is just one thing. This is why in Romans 12:2 it told us that we cannot conform our mind. Do not be conformed by the world. Stay transformed and renewed in your mind. Why? Because your mind is a creator. And because your mind is a creator, you open up your molecules. See, molecules are these tiny, tiny little particles, which is your bloodstream. Okay, and these tiny particles are just life, and we see them. Look at when we see them just flowing all through our body. These tiny, tiny, tiny particles are just blood. Okay, not a whole bunch of different, just one substance. Remember, we are fed by our Father's substance. That one substance is under the directive of life for just this body. See, this body is its own mortality. Okay, and all those tiny little cells that make up the body, that make the body's parent, beloveds, that is just one directive to existence. And under this directive, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Why? Because under that directive, you belong to the living God, the holy God, and nothing but the body of life's existence. Outside of that, when you are conformed to the world, now your mind are trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of tiny little molecules operating inside of this body. And those molecules are given access to life. Remember in Ephesians 6:12, it says they send the spiritual forces of evil into the heavenly realm. Okay, they send. Okay, so once these little molecules come down into this mind, the conformed mind, the transformed and the renewed mind is life, and this directive is existence inside of this body. So what happens is the forces come into the real living kingdom, which is life's existence, and they start forming these dark matters. Okay, and these dark matters, what they do is that they take over your bloodstream. Okay, remember, your immortality is blood. It's the cellular kingdom. All of our immortality is the cellular kingdom. So now the spiritual forces of evil enter into us. Okay, these tiny little molecules, these tiny little particles that you can't see. As a kid, I call them succubus. I could not see them, but I can see them. Spiritually, I can see them. Remember, our eyes are just optical lenses. What we see, what I see through me, at me right now, is not what I really see in life. That's what my conformed eyes see. Okay, but my omnipotent eyes just see this right here as who I am. Okay, that's all I see is who I am. And as a kid, I can remember waking up and seeing these, like, it was like this blob in a whole bunch of little circles, and they would just be floating in the air. That's what I can see through my omnipotent eyes, which is my transformed and my renewed eyes, the eyes that you have eyes to see. And these eyes can see what I don't see through my conformed mind. Okay, what I see through my conformed mind will look like her. Okay? But what I see through this mind, in this existence, and in this body, looks like this. A whole bunch of trillions and trillions and trillions of these. And you can, with your mind, with your immortality, because immortality, this part of your existence right here, is alive and active. It's life. Okay? And you can turn this life into forces. Why? Because this life is under the directive of existence. And this body is what it will host itself into. It will host. These spiritual forces will come and host themselves inside of this body as this life and as this spirit. And they will gain access into the heavenly realm, which is really you. You and I are a heavenly realm. But as I stated, many people do not believe in this. Many people will not agree with this. Many people believe they are just the human race. Okay, so I cannot speak for everybody. I am life's existence. Everything that dwells in me is eternal, immortal, Trinity. Okay, that's all I am. Okay, what you see through these eyes, what you are seeing through these eyes are literally not what you're seeing through these eyes. But I cannot ask you or anybody else to believe in this, because why? Once your mind is conformed to an understanding, to a belief, or to a knowledge, surely if you eat from that knowledge, it's going to take over your eternal, which is the omnipotent one you are. It's going to take over your immortality, which is the life that you are, and it's going to dwell in your body as the acknowledgement as who you believe you are. This is what, and the word became flesh and made its dwelling, and you made it your only begotten son, full of power, full of glory, full of life's existence. Okay, and that is what we have taken place. So let me get to the message. And please forgive me if I'm a little lagging. I've been going nonstop. So I'm a little tired. I'm a little drained. But as I stated, as a messenger, when these messages come, I'm obligated, not by anybody in the world, but by the Holy Spirit that dwells inside of the heavenly realm within me. It says, our bloodline is a royal descendant of life's existence. So this kingdom is a royal, this is the descendant, this is the seed of existence. Okay? Our bloodline is the descendant of this existence. Okay? It says, how many generations will you walk the fabric of this earth? So it's telling you in the Bible, the whole Bible, the biblical story is about the Trinity, our immortality, our eternity, our immortality, and our mortality, talking down to this kingdom, into the world. It's the God talking to the fallen, which is the conformed mind. It's the transformed and the renewed mind, which is life's existence inside of this body, talking to the one who has conformed the body of life's existence into this knowledge. Okay, the tree of good and evil. So in the Bible, in the biblical story, it said this morning, it said, how many generations will you walk the fabric of this earth as the bloodline? Okay. The bloodline of existence, which is really eternal, immortal, and mortal, as the beast that walks the fabric of this earth. Okay? Remember, in the biblical story, we all, for some reason, because of the mind, you have to understand that all of us is all living in eternity, immortality, and mortality. The Trinity of life is one inside of each and every one of us right now. No one is not subjugated to that law, which is the body of life's existence. We all live inside of that universal law. Okay? As a man, we're not governed by that universal law. You're not governed by that law. Why? Because your mind is conformed. Because your mind is conformed, that means that you are now subjugated to two laws. This is why God said, my word is piercing. It's a double-edged sword. Okay? Once you break my law, you have to remember that because I am eternity, immortality, and mortality, I'm going to get you in this kingdom, in this kingdom, and in this kingdom. This one, I can't touch you here because remember, this is what? This is just a conformed mind. It's an illusion. But this one right here is a living God. Okay? Remember, it says we are not to honor any other gods. Here you have trillions and trillions, trillions and trillions of gods that fell from their own kingdom into this world, and then they became rulers and authorities over it. Okay? They conformed this mind to their knowledge. They turned this body into their understanding, like it's black, it's white, it's green, it's yellow, it's purple. And they took the existence of the body of life's existence and they turned it into denominations. Okay, just like the religious, the church. They turned the Holy Spirit into different spiritual forces. Okay, they turned it into different deities. Okay, we can call them demons, demonic forces, anything that we take and we turn our mind into, which is life. Our mind is life. I came so that you may have life. Okay, anything that we turn our immortality into, it turns these molecules. Okay, it turns these molecules into like species. Okay, it turns them into species. Okay, and it says DNA are codes of memory cells. So our DNA are codes of memory cells. Immortal existence that return back onto you, which is life's existence, and walk the fabric of this earth. So every time that we take our mind and we create something outside of life's existence with it, it turns into, let me go in, it turns into particles. Okay, these particles are forces of our mind. Okay, these particles that you don't see. As a kid, I could see these particles. When I would open up my eyes, I still see them now. If I go into a complete transformation, like if I sit here and I just stop thinking about anything, I can see trillions of little tiny dots everywhere. My mind can zone out of seeing through the eyes of who I see in front of me. Who you see in front of you right now is a black woman, or a name, or a word that's become flesh. I can see this kingdom through my eyes. If I sat here and I just meditated on nothing, like if I just became conscious that all this is happening inside of me, all of life is taking place inside of me and not inside of her, in her knowledge, in her belief, in her race, in her sex, in her color, in her problems, in her situations, in her circumstances. If I can just sit there for a little while and just focus on the present moment, I would be able to see all these little tiny particles that are making up everything that I believe I'm seeing as a species. Okay, I would be able to see within life's existence. Okay, I've done this so many times in my life, not really having a comprehension of it until now, since I started doing the work. Okay, when you start coming back into the heavenly realm, you got to do some work. That means you got to understand the truth. This is what Jesus said, and the truth set him free. Okay, this truth is not available to a conformed mind. Okay, this truth will never enter into a conformed mind. Why? Because you cannot serve two masters. I cannot serve the mind of life and the mind of a species. It does not work like that. Just like God says, I am in the world, but I am not of it. Okay, as a transformed mind, you are the world, but you're not in it. Why? Because you're life, and the only thing that life can do is give what? Its existence to that world. Okay, so you're not it. The transformed mind is it. Okay, and right now you don't understand that she and everybody operating in this conformed mind is living in one mind. Okay, you're living in one mind, and in this one mind that you're living in, okay, you're bondaged in Israel. In the mind of Israel, which is just the mind of a conformed mind, you're not governed by life. Okay, You're not governed by the law of life, which is the living God. You're governed by the spiritual forces. You're governed by all the particles. See, a lot of people don't understand that what makes up this body, what makes up this skin, a lot of people say it's melanin and it's this and this. It's nothing. Okay, if I can just give it a no name, but just spirit, it's just spirit. It's just existence. Okay, science has named it particles, particle 1, particle 2, particle 3. They've given it all these names. Okay, but all it is just existence. Okay, and life. And we saw this in our own gestation. We saw the very fabric of existence go up into our mother's womb, plant life, and then grow life into its image and its likeness. So right now, inside of all of us, even inside of the world that we don't understand is just nature. Okay, it's just the same thing that we are, except for in this world, none of this is true. In this mind, none of this is true. And although right now, living inside of you, this is the facts of life. This is the facts of life. But inside of the conformed mind, which is the species mind or the human mind, none of this is true. Okay? Because when you're under the authority of the living God, you have to be subjugated to one thing, and that's the body of life's existence, the Trinity. Okay? And when you are under the law of man, you're subjugated to spiritual forces of evil. This is what the whole book of Ephesians was talking about. So I want to give an example of what I am stating about the spiritual forces of evil. So before I got to this point, before I got to this understanding, I could use my mind. I can only use my mind as a minority. Okay? In this minority mind, everything was against me. Okay? Because of the knowledge of what a minority. Okay? Remember, words are spells. All words are spells. And the word became flesh and made its dwelling. So these words are the forces of evil that enter into you. You are the heavenly realm. But as I stated, some people choose to be the human species instead of the heavenly realm. Okay? They choose to be the spiritual forces instead of being the force of life. Okay? I came so that you may have life. And because they make this conscious choice, remember, choose on this day who you're going to serve. They are now operating bondage inside of that mind. Okay? And that mind is also alive and active. Okay? That mind is alive and active for one thing. Okay? And when you understand this truth, you'll want to rise like Jesus did through the truth. You will use the truth to rise your spirit back up into the body of life's existence and no longer trapped in the world or bondage in Israel inside of somebody else's mentality, which is somebody else's knowledge. Remember, it's telling us, surely if you eat from the knowledge of the tree of good and evil, well, the only tree that can produce anything inside, this is why it says, by your fruit you will be known. The only tree that can produce anything is life. Okay? And when you're not in life's kingdom, the tree that's producing your existence or your body of life's existence, which is through your bloodline, is automatically going to be the opposite, because there are only two forces, the power of life and death. You have been given the power of life and death. Okay? You have that power. Why do you have that power? Because you are eternal. Okay? All eternal, immortal beings have the power of life and death. Why? Because life is a directive to this body, and this body is a chemical. Okay? Your whole genetic makeup is chemical. Look at you. Look at what's flowing through this body. So it automatically gives us all the power of life and death. We have been given that power. The thing about being given a power is that you have to remember that your immortality is eternal. Okay? It's a memory. Okay? And this memory is going to come back into every bloodline. Okay? Every seed that comes into this immortal kingdom, which is into this cellular kingdom, is going to come back into this body. You will not, I will not return back onto you void. Okay, so everything that we do inside of this body, this lifetime, This is one lifetime that I'm living in. A lot of y'all will say, no, this is 40 years. This is 50 years. No, this is one lifetime. Okay? Number one, you have to understand inside the spirit is eternal. Spirit doesn't have a day. It doesn't have an hour. It doesn't have a year. It doesn't have a second. It doesn't have a minute. It's just one lifetime. Okay? And we're all living in this one lifetime. But as the human, you're living inside of a world. And inside of that world, the knowledge of that world is totally different from the knowledge in Hosea 4:6. My people perish because of lack of this knowledge. Two different knowledges. One is alive and active. One is eternal, immortal, and mortal. The other one is just a species. Okay? And that species does not realize that it is living inside of a living God. Okay? A breathing, living ecosystem called life. Okay? In the body of life's existence, you are living, I am living right now as a descendant of the body of life's existence. Okay? That is the living God. Okay? Right now, I am living in the kingdom of heaven within the body of life's existence. Okay? And inside of this body of life's existence, it says, the knowledge of good and evil, which is only one law. We only have one law, and that's life. Okay? So the knowledge of good and evil are spiritual forces. Okay? Anything we take this one life, which is our mind. Remember, the mind is life. The mind is the creator. Right now, the mind created this. Right now, the mind created this. Right now, the mind created you. Right now, the mind is creating a baby. Right now, the mind is creating an invention. Right now, the mind is creating death. Right now, the mind is creating love. Okay, mind is life. Your mind is life. So anything that we call, remember, we are not supposed to call God in any other name. Anything that we call this life in another name as, it becomes, it says, particles. It becomes particles, which is forces of the mind. This is where it's going to lead me back to the example that I was trying to explain. Before my mind, before it became transformed and renewed, which means it was returned back into the heavenly realm and no longer as a spiritual force of evil, my mind was being used as a directive of the world. Okay? And the directive of the world was using my mind to make me believe I was the spiritual force of a minority. Okay? These are little tiny particles that I was creating inside of life's immortality with my existence. Okay? So I was creating tiny particles inside of this kingdom, which is an immortality, with this existence inside of this body. So I was sending the spiritual forces of evil into the heavenly realm. Okay, and as I was sending these forces of evil into the heavenly realm, these particles, see, these particles are just like, they're codes, they're directives, and they talk to your blood. Okay, they talk to your blood. These particles get into your bloodstream. Okay, a lot of us, or a lot of human species, does not realize that all of life is taking place inside of their blood. They believe all of life is taking place inside of the world, which cannot ever be true. So they don't even understand their own knowledge and their own truth. And because of this, they have no understanding to have eyes to see the truth. Okay? All they can see is inside of the conformed mind. Inside of the conformed mind, you can only see life as me, a black woman. You cannot see me as life. Your mind will not ever be able to process me as life. You will always and forevermore, remember, it's stated in here, it says, how many generations will you walk the fabric of this earth, which is just as my bloodline of existence, of eternal, immortal, immortal death. How many generations will you walk the valley of the shadow of death? Okay? How many generations will you take my bloodline and will you kill, steal, and destroy it inside of the mind of conformity? How many particles It says particles are forces of the mind. Okay, as a black woman, these particles were directed my way. Okay, they were using my thoughts. Okay, these particles, these are trillions and trillions and trillions of memory cells called life that have walked the fabric of this earth, which is inside of this body since the beginning of all times. Okay, these little particles that we breathe in all day. Remember, he said that I breathed life into you. Okay, I breathed life into you. These tiny little particles also become spiritual forces of evil in the conformed mind. Okay, but they're all memory cells of life's existence for this body. Remember, it says, I will not return back onto you void. Okay? So the law of life is not going to ever return back onto you void. If you were a thief who came to kill, steal, and destroy it, like a thief in the night, I will come and take back what is mine. So, for instance, if my generation, me, this lifetime, I didn't honor the kingdom of heaven within me, okay, or the people who came before me, it's just, all you are is just a memory. Okay, these little tiny existences are just memory cells of life for this body. In this world, you call it DNA. Okay, in this world, you just call it the body of life's existence. So me, I came as a ascension from the body of life's existence. I didn't come from a DNA. Okay, and this is going to be hard for many, many people to understand. Why did I not come from a DNA? Because by my fruit I am known. I'm speaking the truth. I'm speaking my understanding of knowledge based on the one in which we all are governed by. I'm not speaking this knowledge. Okay, this is not my truth. This is not my truth, but this is. This one is alive and active. It's eternal, immortal, and immortal. No one had to teach me who I am. Tell them I am sent me. My mind is life. My body is life's existence. Okay? I will not return back onto you void. So, here I am. Voila. And it says, elements, which are our bloodline. Elements is what created us. Okay, these elements, they're forces of nature. Okay, their only job is to keep the eternal, immortal kingdom eternal, immortal. Okay, they are what give us the power of life and death. Okay, but when you're living in a conformed mind, the only power that you have, remember, you can't serve two masters. I can't be life and a species at the same time. I can't be life and a human at the same time. I can't be life and a black woman at the same time. I can't be life and a word at the same time. I can't be life and a race at the same time. I can't be life and an education at the same time. I can't be life and a religion at the same time. I can't be life conscious, just one consciousness, just one state of being. Okay, so I can't serve two masters. Okay, and when we serve two masters, it's known as the spiritual force. Okay, it's two. It means anti-Christ and anti-body. Okay, anytime we denominalize or turn one into two, it automatically turns it into spiritual warfare, an eye for an eye. Okay, automatically, because we are telling life it's something other than what it is. How can you tell life that it is a black when life is already the creator of itself? So how can I tell life that it's black? Who gives me the authority or the rulership or the anything to call life other than what it is? No one has given me that authority. Life made itself its own immortality, which is its own creator, its own body, and its own existence. So who gives me that power and that authority? This is why God said my word is sharper than a two-edged sword. It's piercing. Okay? It's an eye for an eye. How are you going to call me? How you going to descend me from life's existence and turn me into this? Okay? into the spiritual force of evil? How are you going to turn me into something that I'm not? And who is giving you that authority when I'm already a law? I'm already a living God. I'm already established. Okay? So as we understand the spiritual forces, we understand it's our mind. Okay? The mind, the conformed mind is the spiritual forces of evil. These are trillions and trillions and trillions of little tiny particles that are alive and active in your bloodstream. Okay? And these little tiny particles, they're called words. Okay? Remember, as a black woman, I was under the directive of being a minority, which means that I can just go, you have to do your research. Go to your dictionaries. Go to all your dictionaries. The one that gives you the best acknowledgement of man's law is the Black Law Dictionary, the Black's Law Dictionary. Okay? Under that authority, these little particles inside of you, these trillions and trillions and trillions and trillions of beautiful elements are running in your bloodstream. You send the spiritual forces of evil into my heavenly realm. See, your bloodstream is royal. Okay? It makes you a descendant of the body of life's existence. Okay? Not of man's existence, but the body of life's existence. Your bloodline is royal. It's royal until you send the spiritual forces of evil. So, like Adam and Eve, the Adam and Eve story. It's royal until you, what did Adam and Eve? They ate from another knowledge, okay, which made them produce Cain and Abel, which made them produce life and death, okay, the seed of life and death. Before, they can only produce one kingdom, and that was the body of life's existence, which was the heavenly realm, okay? So it says, how do you add a day onto your lifespan? So these spiritual forces are thieves. They're thieves. They come to kill, steal, and destroy. They come to kill, steal, and destroy the eternal, the immortal, and the mortal lifespan within you. Okay? Remember, if you don't believe yourself to be the body of life's existence, and you believe yourself to be a conformed mind, which is operating in the knowledge of this world, these trillions and trillions and trillions of existences for life's body, the body of life's existence, they are eternal, immortal, immortal. See, they're not going to sacrifice themselves for a person who has rejected. Remember Hosea 4:6, the whole understanding of Hosea 4:6 was the living God saying, if you reject me, I will reject you and your children's 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 children's. So this infinite beautiful existence is not going to allow you to come into the heavenly realm. That's why it casts you down into the world, into the conformed mind. It's not going to let you use the transformed and renewed mind, which is the mind of life, the body of life's existence, if you will dishonor it. Okay? It will not. And it made itself so perfect, beloved. It made itself so perfect that it made itself consciousness. And it made this consciousness only be able to be used as one thing, life. In your mother's womb, I knew you very well. So it made itself so perfect that if it came down in this world, it would show you the fruit that you produce. By your fruit, you will be known. So you won't be able to lie to it. See, God is not a man that he can lie. God is a living truth. Okay? And your whole genetic makeup is a living truth. So by your fruit, you are automatically known. You don't have to seek God for this knowledge. You don't have to become a doctor or a scientist or a biologist for this knowledge. All you have to do is just be who I am. I came so that you may have life. If you are the descendant of the body of life's existence, your mind, like Moses' mind, remember Jesus said the same thing. Who sent you here? My Father sent me. Okay? Life sent me here. The body of life's existence sent me here. However you want to see it. I say the body of life's existence. Why? Because this is the book that it gave me to understand my own story. Okay? This is my Bible right here. This kingdom, this kingdom and this kingdom. This mind wrote this book, okay? I didn't write this book, okay? I didn't write the book. It was the mind that wrote the book. And I'm trying to show you through my understanding of being inside of life's mind and living inside of this world, which is inside of this word that had became flesh. I'm trying to show you how this kingdom is dwelling now inside of this world. And this one is sending spiritual forces of evil into you. All these forces was coming into me. I was being fed minoritism. I was being fed blackism. I was being fed African Americanism. I was being fed all types of knowledges. Okay, that's what my book was about. And I was trying to explain to you the pain, the suffering, the struggle, the fear, the trauma, the hate, the everything that it caused me. Okay, it was causing me struggles and sufferings to understand another knowledge when the one that I am is already alive and active, when the one that I am is already the highest of all natures. Okay? And it says, how do I add a day onto your lifespan? So these these trillions of elements, okay, there are trillions and trillions of elements called life, okay, and they give our blood, it's like they oxygenate our breathed life into you, okay, and this breath, which is the blood, the oxygen, the spirit, the Holy Spirit, is what gives the body, which is the mortal kingdom, existence. So inside of the kingdom of heaven within you, you are just the body of life's existence. As a race, a sex, a culture, a African American, a minority, a white person, a Asian person, a Hispanic person, an Indian person, as a species, you are now subjugated to the laws of man. But you are also subjugated to the laws of word. And the word became flesh and made its dwelling. Remember, God says, my word is alive and active, and it is sharper than a two-headed sword. Okay? So now you are, and God's only word is life. Okay? And then how do we understand this? How do we know this to be true? Again, we know that this is life inside of all of us right now. We know that this kingdom is what gives us life right now inside of every body. Look at it. This is what swam up into our mother's womb and formed this. Okay? This is the directive of this in this. But is without this one would have no authority to turn this into a body. Okay, this life, I came so that you may have life. Our mind is the most powerful existence that has ever walked the fabric of this earth. And to turn it into death is the beast that will walk the fabric of this earth. Generations upon generations. And it will be put under by its own, what? These particles, okay? They're called memory cells. The breath of life. Every day they're surrounding us. They don't go anywhere. As a kid, I could not sleep because every time I closed my eyes, beloveds, they were not just attacking me inside of this body that was being conformed. Remember, the spiritual forces of evil, they have entered into this heavenly realm. Okay? And the only ones who has eyes to see these forces are the ones who are ascensions of the body of life's existence, descendants of life. Okay, not of the species, not of the races, not of the sexes, not of the cultures, but of life. I came so that you may have life. Remember, we cannot serve two masters. On a given day, a human species is serving about how many trillions of masters are you serving on a given day as a human species? How many idols? How many titles? How many statutes do you give those trillions and trillions and trillions of existences of lives and turn into flesh bodies inside of you as spiritual forces inside of this body? Okay? It says life is universal. It cannot be killed, stolen, or destroyed. And if it does, it returns back into you as perish. Okay? So remember, these molecules, these particles, these atoms, these matters are all elements. Okay, they're all elements. They're only the only elements that we should be governing ourselves by are nature, the natural elements. Okay, but because we don't honor the living God, which is natural law, which is life, we don't honor life, we honor species. Which is we honor race, we honor sex, we honor culture, we honor beliefs, we honor indoctrinations. We don't honor life because life is just immortal, eternal, immortal. So we honor life's existence, we would be the kingdom of heaven. There would be no spiritual forces. There would be no conformed minds. There would be no rulers and the authorities. The universal law would govern us according to the body of life's existence. But instead of being governed by the living God, which is the truth, the holy truth, and nothing but the truth, you've been casted down into the world, which is the same. It's like the bloodline. It's just the bloodline. Everything that we live in right now, this whole body is living inside of what lives in the kingdom of heaven within you is the bloodline. Okay, so you have to walk in the valley of the shadow of death. By your fruit you will be known, by the seed. And as our fruit, our mind is the fruit. How do you produce? What do you produce inside of this chemical body? What type of knowledge? Okay, the scripture, and please forgive me, I told you I'm more than a little. I have been going nonstop for over a week now, and I'm just a messenger. Okay, this message is going to come out. It might be a little slow today, but just bear with me, beloveds. I came according to life's existence for my people. Our mind is a memory, and this memory is trillions and trillions and trillions of little particles. These particles breathe life into us every moment. Okay, right now, if my mind was thinking about love, okay, these little particles would go and seek and find. Ask and it shall be given. Seek and I will seek and I will find. These tiny little particles will go out and seek and find what my mind, what life is desiring. God knows our heart. Okay, He knows who we are. By our fruit we will be known. Okay, so right now, if my mind was thinking, oh Lord, I need love. Okay, I'm not going to be saying this out loud. God knows my heart. God knows the immunity that I need at this present moment to rise my spirit. Okay, life knows life. Okay, life don't know knowledge of the world, but life knows life. Life knows me. Okay, all day long, life knows my heart's desires. And as I stated, I've always just asked for one thing. My whole life, I just wanted to be loved. I never felt loved. I'm not telling you that I didn't get loved, okay? Because the world love and life's love are two different immunities, okay? One is nourishing words. The other has to nourish your immunity, okay? This love nourishes words. It only gives you love based on your hierarchy, okay? This one only gives you love based on your hierarchy, what you are, how high you are inside of the knowledge of words, okay? Man's understanding of love. But this one only gives life from this source, okay? So all of my life being internal, I always prayed and cried and pleaded and begged to be loved. Okay, as an internal being, I didn't feel that love from a species. It never came to me. Why? Because it does not exist. Eternal love does not exist inside of a conformed mind. Is this a good or a bad thing? No, it's not. It's just what it is. Okay, it says all forces are one. Okay, so all forces, evil forces, sick forces, deadly forces, love forces, good forces, bad forces, educational forces, religion forces, governmental forces, they're all one. Okay? They're all one. Why? Because every last one of them have to use life's nature. Not one of them forces have a directive without life. They all have to come into the immortal, which is into the mind. Okay, they send the spiritual forces of evil into my heavenly realm. All these forces have to come up into life to gain access into the body. Okay, in order for these words to become flesh inside of the body, okay, remember, you send the spiritual forces of evil into my heavenly realm. In order for these forces in order for any of these words that believe that one that gain access, like her being black or a minority, you have to come up into the mind. Okay, like a thief, I will come to kill, steal, and destroy. I'm going to come into this body of life's existence. I'm going to take over her mind. Okay, the spiritual force now is taking over her mind. It's just a word. And it's now conforming her blood. These little particles now have access to come into her bloodstream. And now she's going to be conformed into whatever understanding or whatever knowledge. Okay, but the blood is the directive. It's always the blood that is the royal kingdom. Okay, my blood is a royal kingdom of life. It's not a royal kingdom of a species or a race or a minority or a culture. Them is just words. I can't sacrifice life over to a word. Why? Then I will not return back onto you. In your third and your fourth generation, who am I going to revisit you as? I'm not going to be able to revisit you as who I am. Okay, the book of 2nd Chronicles is trying to explain this to us. I'm not going to be able to revisit you inside of that bloodline as the elemental kingdom, as life's existence. I'm going to be revisiting you as whoever you, by your fruit, you will be known. Okay, it says, all forces are one, life, and they work for life's greater good. So even the evil forces, okay? So these particles. So right now, okay, all of my life, I've felt like it didn't matter what I did inside of that world. It didn't matter if I was good. It didn't matter if I was righteous. Nothing mattered inside of her understanding. Nothing I did inside of her understanding, because her understanding is under the mind. It's bondage in Israel. Okay, it's bondage inside of a conformed mind. And inside of that conformed mind, you have trillions and trillions of particles. And these particles are alive and active, though I may have to walk in the valley of the shadow of death. And their job inside of her mind, which is the conformed mind, these particles' job inside of the conformed mind is to what? Is to keep her from rising back into life. Okay, it's to keep her from rising back into life. And how it is capable of doing this is by the knowledge. Okay, the knowledge is the spiritual force of evil. Remember, and the word became flesh and made its dwelling. Okay, and you made it your begotten son. You made it the life's existence. Okay, so in that world, it didn't matter what I did. Just because I had this one directive above my head, and that was that I was a minority, the particles are born. Okay, they're born inside of life's existence to keep me down. Okay, they're born inside of my mind, which is inside of my life, which is inside of my memory cells to keep me down. Okay, it does not matter. This is why all of the hosts, remember, not all of the hosts, all of the priests in the Bible, they would be able to call out to the living God, Lord of all hosts, save me from the lying tongues and the wicked lips. They can call on the Lord of hosts at times of their life when they were being attacked by the spiritual forces of evil. They can call on a higher calling, which is life. Okay? Because they knew how to see the spiritual forces. They knew the schemes of the world. Okay? The schemes of the world are all living inside of us all right now, beloveds. Every last scheme, every last trick, every last spirit is living inside of our bloodlines. Remember, the bloodline is now walking in the valley of the shadow of death. It dwells inside of every last one of us. Fifth dimension, third dimension, 12th dimension, 100th dimension. It's dwelling inside of life. Okay? There's no hierarchy inside of life. There's no leaders or no authorities or no angels and no gods inside of life. It's just life. I am. Okay? And no one has the authority to say, well, because I've ascended higher than you, then I'm a ruler and authority. No one has that right, because life is just what it is. I am eternity, immortality, and mortality. Okay? I don't come on the hierarchy. I come as I am. I'm already a law. Okay? Trillions and trillions and trillions of laws are living inside of us right now, called life. Okay, and that life governs us according to itself, but inside of the world, which is the conformed mind, the world is the conformed mind. You have trillions and trillions and trillions of particles. They're called spiritual forces of evil that don't want you to ascend like Jesus. They didn't want Jesus to ascend. Okay, they wanted to keep Jesus down, but no one can keep a ascended master, which is life. Life will return back onto itself in its third and its fourth generation as itself. Tell them I am. And when it does this, it doesn't have a directive to the world. It has a directive to the souls that have been bondage in Israel inside of that world. Okay, life is not returning back onto itself inside of me or anybody. That's nothing but just life. I came so that you may have life. Okay, it's not going to return back into, oh, because I'm the black woman and I got the melanin and I'm the first. Life ain't returning back into me like that, because life ain't never told me that. If that was the truth, no one would be able to tell me anything. Okay, if that was the truth. If my melanin had more power than this, and I'm not telling you inside of a conformed mind that is not true. And yes, inside of a conformed mind that is also true. That sun and the word became flesh and made its dwelling, and you made it your begotten son. That son is now alive and active, using your what? Using your eternity, your immortality, and your mortality. So yes, it is true inside of you. That is truly taking place inside of you right now. Of course it is. But those particles that are using you are not real. Okay? They're just words. They're just words. But life is real. Okay? In life, the whole biblical story is life trying to give you eyes to see through the knowledge of Hosea 4:6. Okay? And it says, death is a weapon of evil, and it creates particles. Forces that come as a thief in the night to take back what the enemy has stole. So death is also working for life. Okay? Death also works for life. Death works for life until that third and fourth generation. Okay? Remember, it does not matter inside of your bloodline. Your bloodline is royal. It's an element. Okay? Those elements, they cannot be turned into anything but natural resources. The source of life. Okay? But the particles can. The particles are just like our thoughts. Where do you thoughts become things? Thoughts become these little particles. They're called memory cells. And they float. Just like I breathed life into you. They're everywhere. They're seeking. They're looking. They're trying to seek and find a mind. A conformed mind right now. These thoughts are trying to seek and find a conformed mind to enter into, so that they can gain access into the heavenly realm, so that they have existence and life within this body. See, no one has any authority over life without coming through the immortality, without coming through the immortal kingdom, beloveds. You don't even have access to life. This is why when you hear people calling God in another name, this is when they become the false prophets, the idols and the statues, and the other people playing God over life. Okay? This is when you start messing with the living God. Okay? So right now, you have everybody living inside of life's, the body of life's existence, walking in the valley of the shadow of death. Okay, we've all been walking in the valley of the shadow of death. We've been creating every generation the Cain and Abel story. Okay? We've been given the opportunity every time we come through this kingdom. So when I was born, when I was born is when life, when existence swam up into my mother's womb, gave me life, and then created me in this image and this likeness. So I had the power of life when I came into my mother's womb. Now, when I came into this world, which is this knowledge, the world is just knowledge, and the word became flesh, and I entered into a conformed mind, which means that I entered into the species of me being a black woman or black girl or black baby or African American or minority. Then I fell short of my glory. I entered into the valley of the shadow of death. Okay, the world is the valley of the shadow of death. I literally had the power of life's existence for 9 months in my mother's womb, in this gestation. Remember, it says, in your mother's womb, I knew you very well. But I come into this world, and now I'm coming into the conformed mind. The conformed mind is just the species mind. It's the mind that rejected life as its own mind. Rejected the body of life's existence to be its living God, and it wanted to be a species, which means that it just wanted to play God over life. It wanted to be a ruler and authority over the same story as Lucifer. Lucifer had the same power as all of life, but he wanted to rule it. He wanted to have everybody praise, yes, sister, yes, a master, yes, a Lord, yes, a this, yes, a... Okay, he wanted everybody to praise him. He didn't want to give the glory to life. He didn't want to give existence over to life. He wanted it to be in his hands. And when his hands come from the hand of life, he automatically now sacrifices everything. He's the sacrificial lamb. Okay? Man is the sacrificial lamb. He sacrifices all of his seeds. The whole story, who was the story of Martha, or the whole story of the sacrificial lamb, where the father heard his God tell him to go up to the mountain and sacrifice his son. This was the whole story of the sacrificial son. It was the conformed mind. It was the mind that heard the God of man. Okay, and when he got to when he rose into the real heavens, which is his own mind, the living God told him, why would you sacrifice life? Why would you sacrifice my seed? Okay, everything is taking place inside of our bloodline, beloveds. There is nothing ever going to take place inside of man, inside of race, inside of culture, inside of sex, inside of a race. It's not possible. And yet man has taken his mind so far into the pits of hell, of darkness, that he has no acknowledgement of his own truth. This is why in Hosea 4:6, the living God says, because you reject my knowledge. Okay, man has no understanding of his own knowledge. He has no understanding of his own truth. So he's rejected. I will reject your children's 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 children's. And when you understand that all of life has to enter into eternity, immortality, and mortality, if you have been rejected, every time a baby comes back to this constellation, what do you think it's going to walk in? The beast will walk the fabric of this earth. Okay? It's going to be descended, digression. It's going to be fallen. It's going to be subjugated to what? The world's laws. Okay? And something that does not come from that kingdom, thy kingdom come, thy will be done as in heaven and on earth, will be able to call upon the heavens and the earth. Why? Because that bloodline does not belong to an Akashic record. It does not belong to a particle. That bloodline belongs to the source of life. Okay, the real royal family. Okay? And the real royal family is not a race, it's not a sex, it's not a culture. It is a memory cell. of the beginning of the body of life's existence. Okay? That's it. The spiritual forces. All of my life, I've found that even when I try to do right in that world, even when I try to live up to the standards of that world, as life has no authority. Life has no authority inside of something that is not living. Okay? It's damn near impossible for life to exist. It is impossible for life to exist inside of the valley of the shadow of death. It's impossible. These tiny little particles, they are set up to keep your life, which is your eternity, your immortality, and your mortality, as their knowledge, okay, as their force. Without you, they have no understanding, okay? When you understand this, and they only have 3 generations, beloveds. These little tiny particles only have 3 generations to dwell inside of that bloodline, okay? Because their life as well, okay? These spiritual forces only have 3 generations to dwell inside of life's bloodline, okay? To use that mind as a conformed mind, okay? When life awakens inside of its own bloodline, itself, tell them I am, okay? It's going to rise, okay? It's going to rise. And when it rises, it's not rising out of the race, the sex, the culture, the American, the Asian, the Hispanic. It's not rising up out of those things. You chose. Choose on this day who you're going to serve. You chose that as your master. You chose that. This was the whole book of Hosea 4:6. Life is only going to rise the soul, which is his child. It's only going to rise his own child. Okay? And what you call death is perish. Okay? And what I call life is the rise of the soul. Okay? So when you see something die, you're seeing it perish. Okay? I hope you're getting this, because it's coming to me and I'm trying to process it as it's saying it. When you see something die, it's perishing. Remember, trillions and trillions and trillions of spiritual forces of evil have taken the lifespan of all those who chose to serve the valley of the shadow of death. Okay? Every day they're taking a day of your lifespan. Okay? Every day you go by time, you go by hours, you go by seconds, you go by dates, you go by ages, you go by so many denominalizations that your infinite existence is being depleted. Okay? So when life returns back onto you and life rises, okay, life is risen. Life has already risen. The whole story of Jesus was about this story, beloveds. It was about the bloodline returning back to life. Okay, the son returning back in that 3rd and that 4th generation and rising up out of the parish. Okay, it's just the parish, which is death's mind, death's DNA, death's body. And if you chose to serve that master, see, a lot of y'all today, it's trillions and trillions and trillions of living kingdoms ready to fight your battle inside of this mind. But because you serve this mind as your master and not this mind as your life, I came so that you may have life. How does the living God rise you back up into this kingdom when you serve in these masters? See, those particles are not weapons like guns and knives and diseases, and they're just illusions. Okay? They're just illusions. We can take a plague, for example, I will use a plague. Okay, when these plagues come, the plagues are the particles. Plagues are particles. Okay, these particles are just words that have become flesh. It's like somebody tells me, oh, you got cancer. Okay, say if I go to the doctor one day and this doctor sees something and says I have cancer. That's just a particle. These are just codes. Okay, but my existence will fight every battle that's going on inside of her mind if I give it over to life. Okay, if I give that cancer over to life, because remember, the spiritual forces are now living in the heavenly realm. So if you come into this world as like Moses, I came like Moses. You know how Moses says, tell him I am sent me. I came into this world as the descendant of life's existence, the body of life's existence. Okay, but I'm still subjugated to cancer, AIDS, disease, illness, sickness, racism, hate, evil, wickedness. I'm still subjugated to all of those. Okay, but what cannot happen inside of my eternal, my immortal, and my mortal body is that thief cannot come and kill, steal, and destroy me. That spiritual force of evil cannot enter into me. Okay? It's here, it's present. Remember, these little particles are everywhere. They cannot enter into me. Why? Because who do I belong to? Who do you belong to? Okay? Remember, you got the power of life and death. Okay? This is the power of life. This is the power of death. Okay? Anybody who governs themselves under the knowledge of a species is under the power of death. Anybody who knows who they are, tell them I am sent me. I'm eternal, immortal, immortal. You are under the laws of the living God. Okay, so when, say for instance, like the COVID-19, I'm not saying that I was never in the presence of the COVID-19, and I own no rights to that. That patent does not belong to me. I own no rights to it, so I'm making that clear so nobody can say that I used their rights and I stole their patent. I own no rights to the COVID-19. I'm just using it as a reference, okay? Because I have to use something as a reference to give you an understanding of a world knowledge and a living knowledge, okay? A plague, a pestilence, and a disease is a word, okay? And remember, God's word is life. It's alive and active. It's sharper than a two-edged sword. So when those plagues, those pestilence, and those diseases enter into a heavenly realm, okay? A heavenly realm is just a person who operates in their mind as the body of life's existence, okay? You know the truth, the holy truth, and nothing but the truth. You know that you got to live in that world, but you're not of that world. Why? Because it would be impossible for you to be something in which you are not, because it just is. It's impossible. How can I be a race or a sex or a culture, but I can't make the race or a sex or a culture not believe that I'm not? You gonna see me. By your fruit you will be known, okay? By your fruit you will be known. I cannot force you to believe in anything. Like, as life, I was forced to believe in I was a minority, and what did it cause onto me? My whole book, this whole book is about the traumas and the pains that I went through by being forced to believe I was something that my life told me and created me as not, okay? Because I'm blood, okay? You were genetically altering me. You were genetically poisoning me, okay? The world, that's what the world does to life. Like a thief in the night, it comes to kill, steal, and destroy the immunity of life's existence, okay? For 3 generations, life has to walk inside of the valley of the shadow of death. Life, which is the bloodline, has to walk inside of the beast that walks the fabric of this earth, inside of this body, and conforms everybody, marks everybody with this existence, okay? Just knowledge. as this kingdom of life, we have but one authority, and that is to that body, okay, which is the soul, okay? What does a man profit if he gains the whole world, but he loses his soul? See, the body is the soul. Why is the body the soul? Because the body is the directive of life's existence. The kingdom of heaven within. Okay, this body is the image and the likeness of life's existence. Okay, this body is the soul. It carries the bloodline and it carries the existence, the source and the life inside of it. Okay, this is why we were not supposed to call God in any other name, or we would turn into spiritual forces, these little tiny particles. Okay, if you looked up under a microscope right now at your skin, you will see these little tiny particles. Okay, you wouldn't see life anymore, because life does not dwell inside of the body of life's existence anymore. Okay, it dwells inside of the species. Okay, which is just races, cultures, sexes, woman, man, species. Just words, and all the words that have become flesh and taken over the body of life's existence. And now life and the body of life's existence is having to walk inside of that earth. Okay? Life is now walking the bloodline. Okay? Life is now walking inside of the mind of a conformed mind, which is the valley of the shadow of death. Okay? Just spiritual forces of evil. Which means that these little tiny particles, they hear your thoughts. They know your heart. Okay? Today, right now, if I thought, I don't have to think anything. I'm just life. At every present moment, I'm thinking about life. My mind don't stop. You know, and say, you don't sleep on God. I don't sleep on God. I don't sleep on God. You see these messages this morning, tired as I am, as exhausted as I am, this message still delivered itself to you. I don't sleep on God. I do not sleep on life. And to the day that my soul keeps me in this earth for whatever reason, it has sent me into my mother's womb for the body of life's existence as. I understand that the day that my soul rises up out of this earth, in the valley of the shadow of death, that I'm taking life with me. I'm taking all of life with me. I know this to be true. Why? In my mother's womb, I was already established as eternal, immortal, and immortal covenant with this body of life's existence. Okay? Nothing in this world is real. Okay? I had to come to the realization or the living truth of this matter. Okay? All matter. Matter is not real, but life is. Okay? I can't, what is it called? I cannot sacrifice who I am for something that I am not, because I wasn't born to produce that type of fruit. I was not born to produce that type of body inside of life's existence. I was born for such a time as this, as we all are, okay, based on the fruit that we produce inside of the body of life's existence. And you will be known. Well, you're already known. All you have to do is look at in the world, what does your mind create? What inventions has your mind created inside of that bloodline? What type of knowledge has your mind created inside of that bloodline? What type of rules and leaderships and authorities and laws and prophecies has your mind created inside of that bloodline? And then you will know what type of fruit, you will understand what type of bloodline you exist in right now, beloveds. You will have your own discernment, okay? Because there are only one universal law. There's only one universe, and that universe is life. That's our immortality. Every element has to come through immortality in order to become a matter, okay? A form. No kingdom that is alive and active, which is existence, can gain access to become matter without coming into the molecule or the immortality. And no immortality can have an existence without being an eternal source. No one can lie to us about this beautiful existence within the body of life's existence, okay? But the devil is a liar, and all the devil is just a antibody and an antichrist. It is just something that refuses or that has rejected the body of life's existence as its truth and wanted to descend, digress, and fall from the heavens into a earth, which is just into a bloodline that only produces one seed, and that is the valley of the shadow of death, which are just particles, spiritual forces of evil. And every time life comes through that constellation, it ends up having to come down into the world, which is bondage in Israel, and has to walk inside of that mind, okay? As an internal being, I had to walk inside of a extraterrestrial mind, a mind that was forcing me not to believe in who I was forcing me to call myself in another name, was forcing me to take in, was marking me with the knowledge that, with a source, with a nature that is not even my existence, it's not even my life. And that's what the spiritual forces of evil was. This morning when I woke up, I got woken up at 5 this morning because somebody in my presence was being attacked. And this was the message that was given on to me. Particles. These are particles that are using the body of life's existence to gain access into the heavenly realms. And if you are a heavenly realm, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. Although you may have to live inside of the valley of the shadow of death, which is the mindset of the rulers and the authorities of the conformed mind, inside of your bloodline, which is immortal, inside of your source nature, which is eternal, inside of that image and the likeness, which is your real body, the living body, you will never be subjugated to those laws. Those laws can only affect you in your mind. And in that mind, if that mind right now, if a virus, which is already alive and active inside of every particle in this world, as long as my elemental kingdom is one in me as life, no particle has access into the heavenly realm. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not going to have to walk in the valley of the shadow of the death, and that those spiritual forces of evil are not going to be able to enter into my bloodstream. It's just like breath every day. It's just like the presence of another person every day. But I will not, life, you, the heavenly realm, will not be subjugated to them. Why? For such a time as this, you are an ascension of life. All you are here to do, beloveds, is not to profit the world. What does a man profit if he gains the whole world, but he loses his soul? So if no one has told you this on this day or any other day, I heard you. Love and immunity. Heavenly beloveds. And I hope that this manna feeds every element of life's existence walk in the fabric of your earth, ready, willing, able to rise you up out of that world by one authority. I came so that you may have life.